It's never easy admitting that you are a bottleneck in your own business. And this, I'm really hoping, fixes that for me. Hi friends, what is going on? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going rogue. I did not script this video. I feel like I needed a video where I'm a little open. I'm pulling back the curtain on things that I am not proud of, but I hope that it really inspires you to look at your own processes and ways that you can improve them in non-traditional ways. Because listen, I have been freelancing for 6 years and I feel like there's one piece of my client experience and processes and just overall admin of my business that I have not necessarily been neglecting, but I understand that it's a weakness of mine. I understand that I can do 12 times better, but I also have not been able to figure out how to do that. And it wasn't until recently I had a conversation with somebody where we were talking about using ChatGPT and Zapier, and I realized, oh, maybe that is the solution that I need. And so to speak to the issue is that first off, I have notifications turned on at all times. I mean, I have like the do not disturb on my computer, but Gmail is a tab in Arc. I have all of my email accounts on my phone. I have the notifications in the notification center. I have the badge. I have the locked screen notification. Like, I am not missing anything. I am opening the emails immediately, reading them, and then realizing like, oh, I probably shouldn't let people think that I'm in my inbox all the time. And so then I click unread, I mark the email unread, and I go about my day. And then 3 days later, I realized that in my mind I had replied, but I had not actually replied to the email. And I think, frankly, that is what, if I could improve anything in my business, is to have high level touch points with my clients through every single area of their interaction with me. And so what we built in my live stream, I did a build with me yesterday that you're watching this, and we live built this entire workflow because what I want to accomplish rather is that ChatGPT is analyzing the emails and then automatically replying on my behalf. And I know that that is a little risky, but I also know that I am not going to change. Let's just be totally frank and honest with us here. It's just you and me sitting here. I have tried every possible scenario to fix this habit that I have. And it's not even a freelancing issue. I used to have this skill, or lack of rather, in my day job too. And so I've decided to bite the bullet. I'm going to be beta testing this. So this is a warning, I guess, if you are working with me or emailing me, that it's very possible that Lizzie will be drafting and sending you an AI-powered response. So what I want to do in this video is walk you through how I set that up, and I will also post this workflow in my free downloads on my website, and so you'll be able to replicate this. But what I'm assuming, and we can kind of talk about price points and things, is that this would be considered a premium workflow. And what we realized in the build with me yesterday is that while you have a ChatGPT subscription, you also need a subscription for OpenAI in order to use API. It was very confusing. It was a whole 20-minute shit show on the live stream that I never want anyone to have to go through. Honestly too, I couldn't figure out the login, and I was like, I don't understand, why am I not seeing my billing? And then we realized, oh, it's 2 separate subscriptions. So if that's kind of the precursor. If you don't want to pay for both, technically, there are some kind of workarounds that I will post if this does not work for me. So let's pop over to my computer and I will show you this workflow and kind of talk through the thoughts and decisions and all of those good things. So the trigger of this workflow is obviously a new email. Now, understanding I have 2 emails, but one is an alias. And so all of my projects emails use the alias projects at systems. And then I have a label for projects as well. So anything that also gets labeled is a projects email. And then they're kind of like organized in my Gmail account. Anyway, so if you have an alias, make sure that you use that first. So that is our trigger. So any new email. Now, the one annoying thing is that Gmail is a 2-minute trigger. And so as you're building this, taking it for yourself and you're doing the test, just realize that it's going to drive you crazy because it drives me crazy. Next, I have a formatter from Zapier. So in the response, this will be important later on, is that your from name in Gmail is always going to be first and last name. Well, we don't want to be emailing people their full name, right? And so what this does, the formatter by Zapier, is it splices the first and last name and then only pulls out the first name. So you can make it a little more personal. The next step is the first ChatGPT. So what I have this doing is it is summarizing the email, because then we're going to use that for our Google Calendar here in a little while. But it summarizes using ChatGPT 4.0 and comes up with a simplified version. So actually the test email that we used in this scenario is from a client. I've been working on their website for like 3 years. It's a whole thing. Don't ask. And the test email was like, hey, Sara, everything's good. Here's our Spanish content. Here's the doc link, right? So the summary text literally says Spanish content ready, and it hyperlinks the Google Doc. Then what we want it to do is formatter by Zapier again, but it's going to format the date. So what I want this to be doing is also creating a calendar task for me, because you can reply to an email all day long, but if you have to be taking action, why not just have the Zapier workflow automatically put it on? So what I have this doing, and this is just a personal preference, is that it formats the date to 10 a.m. the next day. So that means that the task is getting added 10 a.m. the next day. And why I did this is because I was thinking like, oh, I could just do 24 hours, right? But if someone emails you at 7 p.m., I don't really look at my calendar after 5. And so if a task is getting added at 7 p.m., I'm not going to see it. Or I'm going to be doing a lot of moving around. And for me, I'd rather just have it blocked the first thing I do the following day. Then we're using Formatter by Zapier for a 1-hour completion. So this means that the task is going to be an hour. Now, understanding like if somebody sends me something and it takes longer, it takes shorter, like I can always change that calendar block later on. But I want it to naturally give me an hour time. And that's just based on past interactions. Mind you, also, I should go back to kind of the projects email, is the majority of these emails are literally, hey, I need help with Tally, or hey, the Zap broke, or hey, do you have access to XYZ, right? And so I also, part of this is that it's creating a task on my calendar for everything, but with the summary of the text, I then will basically decide like if it needs to stay. I understand that there are going to be a lot of things that come through here that I really don't need a calendar for, but this is also my first time using ChatGPT in a Zap workflow. So I definitely think that I will be playing with this prompt more and more and more to then decide if it needs a calendar event. So I definitely see myself kind of like giving you guys an update as this happens and see kind of where it takes us. But what it does is it creates a Google Calendar for me. And in the summary, it names it task. It puts the summary and then which client it's associated with. So that is there. And then the start time is going to be that initial 10 a.m. and the end time is going to be 11 a.m. So 1 hour later. And obviously you can change that as you need. Then the conversation with ChatGPT takes the message, the original message, and creates a response. Now, the current prompt that I am using is draft an appropriate email response, but do not include a sign off. It kept saying like, best regards, Sara. And since I'm sending this from Lizzie, it just like kept saying best regards, Sara, which was driving me crazy. I then say, if applicable, include language about that we will create, if applicable, include language that we will complete the request as soon as possible. So that is also there to know like, hey, we're working on it. We saw it. Then it replies to the email. So it pulls the thread, it sends it to the person, and then the body obviously is what the ChatGPT conversation created. And I also have it coming from Lizzie, so they know that it's AI powered. And then lastly, I have it sending me, or rather Lizzie sending me a message in Slack saying, hey, a new email from said person came in. I've sent a reply and added a task to your calendar for tomorrow. So that's the workflow. It's not super intense, but honestly, like figuring out the ChatGPT stuff was quite the uphill battle. Again, I didn't realize how you have to set it up. And so in the downloads in the article that's on my site associated, I'll put the link in the description down below. I will also include a little blurb of what I had to do to set up my OpenAI account, because I had clearly never done it before. I've never used API with ChatGPT. And so it was all very new and very overwhelming to me. So I'll include that as well, but I don't want to bog you down in this video of how to do that. So yeah, like I said, I think this workflow is going to be really helpful, but I think there's going to be a lot of beta testing and testing it out, if I'm being totally frank with you. I'll probably let this sit for like 2 weeks. I think that that's safe because we'll be at the Notion conference next week, so I'll be offline anyway. If you're coming to San Francisco, make sure you say hi. And yeah, hopefully this was helpful. Oh, hey, did you know that it costs $0 to create efficiency in your business? Go to the description down below and download my free workbook to see how you can start working better.